Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the meeting to order. I'd like to acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the traditional homeland of the Métis Nation. My name is Ron Merrick. I'll be your chairperson this morning. Introducing the panel members, Robert Hutchings to my left, and Mr. Richard Whitbread to his left. Representing the city from the assessment department is Mr. Aka and Jonathan Spacek. We'll be hearing, and our recording secretary is Carla Belshaw. We'll be hearing an application for revisions of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested has been described in each application and will limit discussions to those matters. The statements that the applicant or the assessor make at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anybody speaking in these matters must be sworn in. Please be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence by market value by the board. The board is appointed annually by City Council and is independent of it, along with the city administration. We make our decisions based on the evidence provided at the hearing and issue a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decision in respect to application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to application for exemption from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included in the board's order. In respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the matters to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We'll then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the other applicant may have, and then will be the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each party will have the opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all evidence about the application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket this morning. The session will close after the applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private to make its decisions. You will receive the order by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all hearings are live stream recorded and will be part of the public record. We'll ask our secretary to swear in the assessor, Mr. Becker, or from either one.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Please state your name.
Jonathan Spacek.
Do you swear the evidence you present today is the truth and the truth and nothing but the truth?
That's right.
Thank you. Move forward. Please state your name. Do you affirm the evidence you present today is the truth and the truth and nothing but the truth?
I affirm.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, what do we wish to do? First of all, do we want to get Arta out of the way here?
I will, if it's okay with you, I'll present 485 Sterling Line Parkway, and then you can watch and see it, and then he has the next property after that, if that works.
That is fine. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll go to Sterling Line Park, 485. Whenever you're ready, Mr. Spacek.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We're looking at roll number 10006776034, 485 Sterling Line Parkway. This is the new Audi dealership that's on Kenniston and just west of Sterling Line. You can see on page 2 I've included an aerial photograph of exactly where it is on Kenniston and how you get and the road going into it from Sterling Line. And you can see some more pictures on page 3 just to see the layout of it, and I have some more interior photos at the back of what's in it. But the 2020 value is $15,270,000. We have again a complete auto dealership is how we have this classified. It's a car dealership. It was built in 2018. It has a plan area of 31,652 square feet, a full basement area of 31,883 square feet, and with the mezz space on the main floor, it works out to a total leasable area of 75,112 square feet. We have a land-to-plan ratio of 4.28. You can see on page 2, it has a smaller actual outdoor parking lot than some of the competing dealerships, but it's one of the newer styles where they actually have a full underground showroom. So that's what that basement space is. I have included pictures of it to show you later as well once we get to it. Again, page 3, just more outside views of the dealership. Page 4, we do have a sale July 23rd, 2015. That was a land-only sale for the $3,895,000. So they purchased the land in 2015 and then built the dealership. Page 5 is the income workup for this property. So using the income approach, we have the first premise there, C2 standard office retail, or sorry, standard office finish, retail industrial finish. We have 43,229 square feet at $17.03. So that is taking into account the main floor of the dealership when you walk in, showroom area, and the second floor with the mezz space. You'll always see pictures of that as well. But that works out to that total 43,000. And we have it, because of the new build in 2018 and the quality of it, the model is giving it a rent of $17.03 for that first and second, or first and mezz space. And then you see C9 as the basement space, 31,833 square feet of basement showroom. So that's storage, parking, wash bay. You know, it's the first I've seen of it in these dealerships, but I know there are a couple of the dealerships that have these underground showrooms. But our model, when we put it in as a basement leasable space, which is the closest characteristically that we can get to a basement space like that, it works out to $12.86. So that works out to a total of $1,146,205 potential rent, and we get and using our standard vehicle dealerships after that, like all of our standard parameters, we have 2% vacancy loss for the 2020 cycle. We're using 2% expenses for the 2020 cycle. We have $6 shortfall for that 2% of vacant space, and we have an overall capitalization rate of 7.15%. This is how we get that total value of $15,270,000. If you turn to page 6, you'll see our kind of master list of comparables for retail warehouse space. So these car dealerships, as if you've had any of these on the appeal this cycle, or I've over time have learned, they're all owner occupied. We do not have nice net rents for brand new dealerships. There has been, tons of argument over the years of these. How do we value these? We have continued to stick with the income approach, with the value of this space being derived from retail warehouse space. So we are comparing it mostly to like a building on, for example, this car dealership built on Sterling Line Parkway. I have, you can see at the bottom, or throughout this, I have comparable 8, 23, 24, 25, and 27 is 550 Sterling Line Parkway. So this is the outlet mall, built in 2013, and we have retail warehouse rents from there ranging, they're ranging from let's look, sorry, they're ranging from around $16.50 to $22. So in that range of new, well-built retail warehouse space. An open car dealership in our mind is closest similar to a large retail warehouse space. That's the closest I could find, or what I'm using for comparable today. So you can see we have them across the city because we have car dealerships across the city, but you can see there's enough just at the outlet mall there. But our range of rents for retail warehouse across the city, built 2000 and going onward, is around $18.05 for a weighted average. And this Audi car dealership is at $17, which is built in 2003. Built 2018. It's going to be the highest, near the highest end of the car dealership rents you'll see this cycle. So that $17 is kind of what we're saying is the nicest, newest Audi car dealership space. Again, and we're using retail warehouse to compare to that. So those are my comparables. We have included 4 auto-related comparables, but I have been through these with a couple of appeals so far. At 1284 Main Street, there's contention with that $19.50 rent on 20,000 square feet. There's, from what I've heard or my understanding, there's basement space in this building, so really, realistically, I believe you'll see the appellant uses the same rent at $10, which if you're using a basement space, it puts the rent around $10. So there is that to be taken into account on 1284 Main, which is my comparable number 28 in the auto-related. And then we've used a couple auto-related rents on Portage, so 3570 Portage is comparable 29, and this is 9,000 square feet at $13. It's their office building, so it's mostly offices. It has a bay door. It's vehicle service related, but it's 9,000 square feet at $13. And then you have 3680 Portage, which is a used car sales auto gallery. It's 7,200 square feet at $12.50. And you have 2537 Pembina, which is a Subaru dealership built in 2004, but it has a $25 net lease. And I will state up front, it's one of those termination contracts where they're signing a higher upfront fees with they have the option to buy the property over time. So that $25 can be argued that it's above market net rent after going over it. So again, I just went over those now quickly just because we're using the same page for all the dealerships going forward, so keep those in mind. You turn the page. we have page 7, which is just the income value summary of this workup. Page 8 is our capitalization rate sheet. Again, we don't have a line on our City of Winnipeg sheet for car dealerships. There are very few, if any, actual car dealership sales, and then converting those to an actual cap rate. We don't have direct cap rate evidence for these. Our current cap rate on this property for VCBs is at 7.15% this cycle. And if you turn to page 10, take a look there. There's some more pictures of the property. You need a better look of the actual inside of the showroom and the med space and the basement. So if you turn to page 10, the top left of the page is the actual showroom. Top right is some of the car wash area and service area. If you start going down, the second row on the right and the third row, those two pictures, that's pictures of the basement showroom. So you can see the ceiling height, the quality of the finish, just to get an idea of why we are giving that basement showroom $12 square foot rent. You can see the wash bays at the bottom. Third row on the right is actually the wash bays where they take the cars to get washed. And then page 10 at the bottom is just the main floor showroom as well. And if you turn to page 11, I've just included some pictures of the actual mez space. So you can see the stairs coming up. It's a very nice mezzanine space. It has, it's like the customer lounge area. It has boardrooms, offices, bathrooms up there. So you can see that on page 11, the quality finish of the mezzanine space. And page 12 is just our addenda that we've been attaching to all of our 2020 properties. There is no mailer on this property as it was recently built, so there's no information for the actual community, but it's, again, owner occupied from my understanding. If you have any questions about my presentation, please let me know.
Mr. Duville, what are you doing here?
Let's just gonna sit here and watch. What do you mean? It's okay. 634 Portage that has been transferred over to us. It just doesn't say that, and we're just confirming it and withdrawing value. Is that not? You don't have.
I have no records of anything of that nature.
Okay. I don't know what I'm doing here.
I was just going to 54-1 it anyway, so we can keep it alive. Anyway.
Keep it alive? Okay.
Yeah, I think Kerry was dealing with either yourself or...
Yeah, Rocky just told me to come here and confirm it, so I guess we never did the paperwork. But yeah,
I don't know.
good to know.
Okay.
Okay, good. No, that's fine. I just didn't want you to waste your time. Appreciate that. Okay, thank you.
See you.
Mr. Spacek, thank you for your presentation. Mr. Becker, questions?
Yes, I have a couple. You mentioned that this is the newer style for the basement.
Yeah, just having the basement under the auto body.
Is that because of the land? Could it be because the land size is so small?
Yes, I'm assuming they're adapting to the smaller land size and having some sort of showroom instead of having a larger parking inside.
I think that happened with the Superstore on Portage. They had to put in basement parking because their land size was...
There you go, that makes sense.
Okay, but there's no other ones in Winnipeg like this?
With the basement?
Yeah.
I believe there's a couple other dealerships. I don't want to say them. I don't want to say the wrong name, but I was talking to a coworker that's been through one with basement store, with basement showroom. But
I think Gautier's on
Gautier and one other, yeah.
How many folks does he have?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and
1,400
Mercedes, thank you. Yeah, Mercedes and Gautier were the two we were talking about that have basement showroom space.
Okay. Is there any access off of Keniston to this property?
Directly off of Keniston?
Yes.
From the, if you look on my page 2, the only access I have is if you're coming westbound, you'd be turning off. But direct access, no, you have to go to an off-road to turn onto it. So no, direct access, no.
Okay. You mentioned the good finish in the basement. Basically, it's just all concrete with good lighting.
It's underground parkade made showroom.
Okay. I just wanted the rents. Can I just pass a little bit of rebuttal out for
Sure.
just one of them?
Yeah.
It's just to deal with 1284 Main Street.
Okay, thank you.
This is actually the assessor's presentation for the 2020 assessment appeal.
Okay.
Cool.
And if the first page, it basically shows the area, and it was built in 2010, and it shows that the plan area is 29,626, but the basement area is 14,455. Page 2 is just an overhead. On page 4, this is what was used for the 2020 reassessment. It just shows that for the main floor, they used 1625 and 1627, and then for the basement, it was between 987 and 1093. But the overall was used was 1441, at a 4% vacancy and an 8% cap rate. And if I could just ask the board to turn to page 13. This is the main floor space. This is a floor plan where it shows the area where they bring the cars in. It's a claim center for artifacts. And then the office space, and then on the page 14, it shows that there is basement finish. Very little. It's mainly used for storage and files. But just wanted to make it clear, I think Jonathan mentioned it, that there is a basement, so that lease for $19.50 was actually for 44,000 square feet, not for 20,000 and 2,225 square feet. Okay, the other comparison you have on Pembina, that 2012, it was actually, you had mentioned it was a long-term lease because it offered the purchase.
Which, sorry, can you say that again?
The one on, that was the Frontier Subaru.
Yes.
Did you look at the 2012 mailer at all?
No.
Okay, because it's actually signed by somebody from Frontier Subaru.
Okay.
It was Frontier Acquisitions and Frontier
Okay.
Management. Okay, so for your mezzanine and the main floor, it's all in at 1703?
Yes.
Okay, your basement is model driven, the 1286?
Yes.
That's all the questions I have.
Thank you. Mr. Hutchings? I've got the average rental rate as $15.26 a square foot. Is that the accurate?
I would believe you, but I can do it quick.
Okay.
They usually do that. Yeah, I have 1526.
Okay. That's my only question. Thank you, Mr.
Yeah.
Chair. Mr. Whitford?
Just a couple. Given the building is this new, would you not have any building permits to give us some information about the cost of building this property?
I looked up the original, like just the permit value.
Yeah.
The original building was approximately 12 million in declared construction value.
Just
That's
round
what you
numbers,
want.
that's
Yeah,
fine.
it was,
Okay.
but
And would that somehow get plugged into your model?
I mean, when you put a building in characteristically, we have put it in for cost. We don't we put in the building how it's built, and it has a cost value, but when we're using the income approach, it doesn't come into play.
Second question, just from my education, your cap rate is 7.15.
Yes.
The model, I think I heard you say the model didn't have anything to pick from, evidence.
Not that it didn't have anything to pick from, just for BCDs in particular, there's no sales from my understanding, yes.
So how do they establish a 7.1?
Similar types of building size, location, like my comparables that are like retail warehouse. So if retail warehouses sell, our retail warehouse, if I had to guess, their caps are probably around 7 to 8, somewhere in there. And you'll see BCDs are somewhere around 7 to 8. So it's taking similar types of buildings.
Okay, so it depends on what you've picked in the way of
Yeah, overall,
sales.
there's an overall cap rate, and then they're modified from my understanding.
Yeah.
But which actual direct sales were used to determine, I don't know.
Okay, and can you tell us if this cap rate was not modified in any way?
From my understanding, it's a pure
model?
model BCD cap rate.
That's what I was looking
Yeah.
at. Thank you.
Thank you. Jonathan, there's, I guess, various ways to evaluate a dealership, and one would be, looking at cost and income approach. Okay, I don't think direct sales come to conclude value, because they're all different. This one, like you say, was built in 2018.
Yes.
So to follow up to my colleague's quiz, I guess, I know what you've done for income-wise.
Yes.
But also, did you look at a cost approach? Because we have the land.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So, you know, I just looked at the value.
Yes.
And it's, you know, there was a mention about $12 million.
Yes.
So if you know, do the numbers, et cetera, it comes to $11,375,000 divided by the square footage that you have. So it's $151 a square foot. Now, did you look at anything like that?
I did not do a cost analysis, or I didn't do the landing cost. I did look at this income value, and again, I put all my weight on this one on the income value. I didn't bring anything. Again, I looked at the declared construction value plus the land value. It works out close to our income, but I didn't do an analysis and bring a workout.
Yeah. Yeah, it's you know, because it's a new building.
Yes.
Tough to put a cap rate,
Yeah,
you know,
yes.
so I don't think the model would have up-to-date figures like this.
Again, yeah, I looked at the declared construction value and land value, and close to what we have on income, but I put the most weight on income.
Yeah, so you concluded that this would be approximately the
It seemed
value.
it seemed in the ballpark at my review.
Yeah, okay, go ahead, Richard.
Just a follow-up. So again, along that line, I think I heard you say that you don't have any income expense documents.
No,
This is a new
they weren't
business.
there for the 17 income year.
Yeah. So just help me understand how you came up with an NOI of 1091, or how you came up with your financial numbers in total.
Like, what do you mean? Like, on my page 5, how the...
Your workup shows NOI of 1091, it shows potential rent of 1146205. Where do those numbers come from, Jonathan?
I'm
If you don't have-
struggling to understand the question.
Well, you don't have an income expense statement.
We never, we don't use income and expense. This is a model-driven number based on all the numbers we gathered across the whole city for every income and expense made or sent in that has net rents. So standard office space is sent in from standard office. Net rents are built off standard office net rents. Office basement leasable is based off basement net rents.
That's
from
what I was
basements.
getting at, standard office. I didn't understand that. So
Yeah,
that's-
it's just office
that's a
retail
nomination.
basement leasable. So we have a subclass C9 office retail basement leasable. We do get net basement rents. They range from $6 to $12, I would say on average, from doing them this cycle. And our model from those net rents sent in is giving us, based on a brand new year built, is giving us on the high end of $12.86.
You answered the question a long time ago.
Perfect.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
I thank you.
Can I have one follow-up question?
Yes.
Thank you. You mentioned that your basement rents were $6 to $12,
Yeah.
but were any of them this size?
No, this is much larger. This is larger scale, and this is brand new built. So the basement. That's why I didn't bring in the basement comparable, because it's basement office, right? I'm just saying this is where the model's driven from.
Okay, that's all.
Mr. Becker, the floor is yours.
Okay, if I could ask the board to turn to page 3. Now, I'm going by memory, Jonathan, the last time I was by here, but I didn't think there was any access off of Keniston. I thought that area, there wasn't access until you got the road that turned into IKEA. And then you had to go back around through all the loops.
Okay. I just went off the picture on.
Yeah.
I'm just going off the picture, but I went there the other day, and
You went.
I can't remember if I took that turn on or if I went down to.
Okay, all right.
Sorry.
Okay, I guess if I could ask the board just to turn to my income growth on page 6.
Oh, here it is.
So at the bottom of page 6, I look for some comparable rents, and again, it's hard.
Yeah.
Most of these are owner occupied. The first one is 1322 Waverly. That's actually not auto, Waverly and McGilvery. It has a very low rent of $4.82. It's a January 15 lease. The next one at 1450 B Ellis is the Staples. That's at the corner of Ellis and St. James. It's a 17 lease for 22,700 square feet at 1822. The next one is it's actually a lumber store. It's 41,000 square feet, built in 86, and it's got a rent of $759. And then the last one is one of the ones that was used by the assessment department at 1284 Main. That's the MPI claim center, and if you use the total square footage, it comes in at 1073. At page 7. The property, I'm sorry. Based on the comparisons, I'm going to use a net rent of $16 on the main and $8 on the basement. The basement of 31,883 square feet, I know it's newer, it's got good lighting, etc., but I wasn't able to find any rents that were close to that, so I used what we normally do, which is half the main floor rent. And the main floor rent includes mezzanine area as well. For vacancy, the assessor's plan vacancy allows only 2% of the income stream for the dealership. However, for the 18-19 realty assessment appeals, Altus was able to achieve a vacancy rate of 4% for car dealership. If the subject was classified as VSG or RWC, it would receive a 4% vacancy. We submit that an appropriate market vacancy rate would be no less than 4%. So if it was assessed the same way as the last 5 comparisons basically that were used as the RWC, it would have got a 4% vacancy allowance. $6 shortfall is the same for this property as if it was classified as an RWC, a retail warehouse center. Non-recoverable, we're asking for 7% for the non-recoverable expenses. On page 8 for the capitalization rate, the April 2018 capitalization rate applied by the city is only 7.15%. For similar dealerships, the April 18 cap rate was between 7.5 and 7.775. The subject has a small land to building ratio for a car dealership. The subject has over 30,000 square feet of basement space, and access is unusual for a dealership. Based on these factors, we will use a 7.5% cap rate. So I'm adding an additional 0.35 to the cap rate just because of the location, the small land to building, and the amount of basement space. Based on our rents and our expenses and a 7.5 cap rate, we come up to a value of $11,029,000. And I'm open for questions.
Thank you.
Just a couple. For your core comparables, I think you said the first one, Waverly, is a McNaught. It's an older building built in 1970. So my question is, your 2 most recent comparables, they're the ones that are 1822 and 1072, correct?
I'm sorry, they're 1822.
For value-wise, so the two most recent ones have the highest net rents.
Nope, the 2366 McPhillips is 759.
Yeah.
And that's an 18 lease, and the 17 lease is 18.
Oh, for recently signed, thank you. I meant for age of building.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry, I should have been more clear.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and just for that Main Street building, so if you're using that 44,000 square feet across the whole building, you're giving it a 1073, and that's putting the basement space at $10.70, correct?
Well, no, I'm just saying it. The lease is for that much square footage.
Right. So if you're putting the amount they're paying, you're still giving the basement $10 a square foot, right?
And 10 something on the main.
Yeah. Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
You could do it different ways. You could have higher main, lower basement, but
Exactly.
that's how we're looking at it. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. And just for the comment on the basement, so you're increasing the cap for that basement space, but compared to other dealerships, it is very nice to be able to, comparably speaking, to walk through and look at cars in the basement compared to having a bigger parking lot in the winter and looking at cars, correct?
In the winter, I agree with you,
winter.
but there is, what they're hampered by now is they can never add land.
Yeah.
If you look at the ones like on Portage Avenue, there was River City Ford.
Yeah.
They kept buying land beside them because they needed it, because they had a small land to building. These guys don't have that option anymore.
I understand.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. That's all my questions.
Thank you. Mr. Hutchins?
I guess my question is, so they've invested approximately $16 million.
You know what, I don't know what they invested. I don't know what the cost to build was.
Yeah, according to the assessor, building permit's 12, probably higher than that. Usually it's higher than the building permit declaration. So how do you...
How do I justify that?
Yeah.
When I was with the assessment department, I worked on 201 Portage. And at the time we put that one on the roll, it cost over $80 million to build the shell. And it went in on the roll, it was under 50.
So that's hydro?
No, that's TD Bank building. Oh, 201. So what I mean, you can't always relate the cost to...
Right. But when it's a private dealership and they're investing that much...
I think you'll find every one of them that invest more than what they're assessed at. they're hoping on longevity that it's gonna eventually be worth it. And I'm sure when you're paying whatever they pay to build it, you have to follow Audi standards as well.
Yeah.
So there is some additional cost in there, I think, but.
And the 4% vacancy in a car dealership, like an,
Well, if they go vacant, they stay vacant actually for quite a while.
right,
Because of for this one, it's got car wash bays, et cetera. Or you'll find somebody that will come in there with a used car.
yeah,
Setup.
but it's the only Audi dealership new built in Winnipeg, I believe.
Yes, it used to be
So-
part of St. James.
Right, and they split off, or,
Yeah.
yeah, okay,
I think the owners
So-
of this bought both of them and then split it off.
okay. So you're using the 4% because that's what would be applied to,
If it was a retail warehouse center, like a Home Depot or Walmart or something
Okay.
like that.
okay, that's my only question. Thank you.
I thank you. Mr. Whitbread?
No question.
I just have one really, Mr. Becker. I guess you've been at this quite a bit. And we all have. But I guess you're following sort of the traditional line that the main floor is $16 a square foot, and then the basement is half.
Yeah, well,
So,
in actuality, normally you would put a higher rate on the main floor, and then like half the rate on the mezzanine, and then half the rate on the basement, but I just used $16 overall. I couldn't find any mezzanine rents for a car dealership.
did I miss something?
The mezzanine area is like.
The mezzanine, you use $16, did you say?
Yeah, I've used it
$16
$16
overall?
for the main and the mezz. Yeah.
And the mezz?
Yes.
But, and what about the basement?
The basement, I used half, I used 8.
Yeah, well, that's, yeah, okay, that's what I'm sort of talking about. I'm looking at the pictures, and it's got to be more.
Mr. Mayor, as the assessor said, the only.
I mean, it's a new building, and it's got all kinds of amenities.
If it didn't have an Audi name, if it had a Chrysler name on it, you wouldn't think that.
Probably not. Okay.
Well, no, like Jonathan mentioned, that the only basement leases he could find were between 8 and 12. And this one's huge, this is over 30,000 square feet. None of them would be even close to that.
Yeah.
So that's why I put a lower rate.
So do you think economy as a scale comes into play here?
Oh, it would have to.
Okay.
And again, you're not going to be able to find lease comparables for it.
No, you realize it.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that concludes, yep, we're ready to.
I think you stated, Doug, but what's your average rental rate for the whole building?
Oh, it'll be on my,
Yeah, and I think you said it, Doug.
it's on page 8, I think.
Yeah.
Page 7, 1260.
That's 1250?
There it is.
1260.
Yep.
Well, there it
That's
is.
based on 75,000 square feet. You'd be hard pressed to find a dealership for 75,000 square feet of space, you know.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, there was so much material, Mr. Becker, that I lost your, but I see it here. Either party wants summation, Mr. Spacek?
I'm okay.
Okay,
That's
Mr.
fine.
Becker? All right. We'll go on to Portage Avenue, 2554. Arthur?
Yes. Okay, subject property with a file number 192668, roll number 075690666100, 2554 Portage Avenue. Okay, 2020 value is $4,772,000. it's with a partial use code of CMVCD Complete Auto Dealership. Has 3 buildings. They are 1 story. Actual year built 1963, effective year built 2000. Leasable area 30,060 square feet. To the gross floor area of 6,534 square feet. On page 2 we can see aerial view of location of the subject property. It's located on the corner of Murray and Portage, southeast corner. So picture number 2 gives you a oblique view, and picture number 3 at the bottom gives you a street view. Yes. Yeah, there are 2 separate buildings on this parcel. One is part source and another one is a Birchwood car dealership. Okay. Then we have page 4 provides comparable rents of similar buildings, and it's been already discussed before. And the net prices per square foot. Top part of the page provides information for retail part, and the bottom part of the page provides information for this auto-related buildings. Okay, page number 5 gives you a breakdown on the value for the retail warehouse space, which is a part source in the subject property. It's 7,383 square feet. Yeah, and based on information provided, there is no contention on the rent by the appellant. Standard parameters are 4% vacancy loss, 2% expenses, and 6.15% for capitalization rate. Okay, and page number 6 provides information on the building number 2, which is a 22,677 square feet dealership. Again, there is no contention on the rents provided, but we use a standard 2% vacancy loss, 2% expenses, and 7.8% capitalization. Page number 7 combines the provide summary of the income approach to the value, and given everything else, the value arrives at $4,772,000 as the estimated market value for 2020. And the blended capitalization rate between the two is 7.25%. Yeah, page 10, 11 provides a mailer included that was submitted for such property. Yeah, there is a land lease in place. Okay. Page 13 forward is standard information for that was included for 2020 assessed values. A fresh look, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Becker, questions?
Yes, for the part source, what classification, why would this be called a retail warehouse center? It's only 7,255 square feet on the main floor, and it only has like a 17-foot wall height. Like retail warehouse center, isn't that normally like a Walmart or a Home Depot or something with large square footage and high ceilings?
Yes, retail warehouse is a larger type of building, and so your question is why is this property called retail warehouse versus
just regular retail?
Yeah, well, just because like about it's over 7,000 square feet. That's why it's called a retail warehouse.
It's on the small end. It's on the small end.
Yeah, it's a smaller end of retail warehouses, but it's a retail warehouse.
Okay, and so you have two properties on the same roll number, one's assessed with the 6.15 cap, and the other one's assessed with the 7.8 cap, right? Just depending on how you classify it?
Correct.
Okay, that's all the questions I have.
Thank you. Mr. Hutchins?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Page 5, building, I'll call it building 1, so that's the part source, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, is there a lease in place there?
There is lease in place. There is a land lease, page number 10, no, page number 10 and 11 shows the neighborhood for the such property.
So it's land lease only?
Yes, it's a land lease only.
Okay. So, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, is this owned by the Birchwood Group, both buildings?
It's owned by LCL Port Moray Ltd.
Oh, okay. So building 1, there's an existing part source store, that's been there for a while. The building number 2 used to be the Mercedes dealership, currently used a combination of the body shop for Birchwood Group from Portage West, I
Yeah, it's like a
believe,
Birchwood sales.
and the rental car, how did it make, maybe I'm wrong there. But, and then there is also a showroom?
Yeah, well, I thought it was a Birchwood,
Okay.
like, so they sell cars, used cars out of there.
Yeah, okay, because the lot is full of cars.
Yeah.
It's the trade-ins that they get.
Yeah.
Okay, so they funnel them over there. Okay.
Yeah, they have a bunch of them around the city.
Okay, yeah, but it is the body shop for the Headingley or Portage West. Am I right or am I wrong?
I haven't been there.
Okay,
That's right.
yeah, okay. And is there a lease in place for that building?
Again, it's a land lease for that as well. Land only lease.
Land only?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. So is it basically owner occupied, both these buildings, or belongs to
I didn't do a company
affiliate
search.
of Birchwood, or
I didn't do a company search.
how do you know?
It's Latco owns the land.
Okay,
See, Latco owns what used to be the Birchwood Hotel,
yeah,
and they own that land as well, and then they hived that off, and then
Okay.
they rent the land out, and the two tenants are responsible. There's no building rent at all. And one's owned by Birchwood, one's owned by PartSource. And they each pay rent on their land.
so it is owner occupied, or the Birchwood, building number 2 is owner occupied?
Yeah, and so is the PartSource.
It
It's
is,
just
okay.
that they're on lease plan.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, and so the part source is small retail area, but mainly storage, or for the parts, I guess, would that be?
Just a parts store. Yeah.
Yeah.
Retail parts store.
Okay. That's all my questions, thank you.
Thank you. Richard, questions?
Did either one of you visit the premises?
No.
So looking at a 1963 building, well, built between 63 and 2000, do you have any idea what was done to bring it up to 1974 to 2000?
I don't know the exact renovations that were done. So the two builds were, one was in 1963,
Yes.
then the second part was built in the addition, or I guess the part source was built in 2000.
That's what I would expect.
Yeah, so the two
And
separate buildings,
Yeah.
and then the 1963 has an effective year of 1974, so I don't know exactly what was done to raise the effective year by 10 years, and then the 2000 building still at the 2000 effective year, the original build.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe there was an additional area was built, that's why the effective age was added.
Okay.
So my wonder when it comes into that, we looked at a space age Audi dealership on Keniston at $15 a square foot, and this 1963 building at $14 a square foot.
It is getting the 63 build, I just want to confirm. is getting $11.55 a square foot.
Okay, your blended rate is $14.
Well, the second building, if you look on page 6, so that the older building is getting, the 22,000 square feet is at $11.55, and then the newer building's at the 14 or whatever that is. The 2,000 builds at $14, blended rate, yeah, whatever that works out.
Okay, and again, that was a model generated
Yes.
number based on your explanation
Yes.
from the first case.
Absolutely.
Thanks, John.
No problem.
No further questions, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Becker, floor is yours.
Okay, I guess we can start on page 2. Like this, the picture, and as is mentioned by the assessor, the part source is on the left. It's actually part of Canada, Canadian Tire. And on the right is, as Mr. Hutchings mentioned, it was originally a Mercedes dealer built in '63. There has been some renovations and some outside exterior work to it, but that is owned by the Birchwood Group, and they use it for selling their, I guess, cars that come off lease, or trade-ins, etc. On page 3, property description. The subject property consists of 2 buildings located on 2.4 acres of land. Property is located on the southeast corner of Portage Avenue and Moray. Access to the property is from Portage Avenue, or if you're going north on Moray. You can only get it if you're going east on Portage. Oh no, I'm sorry, you can get it off of west on Portage, and then you can get it off of Moray. The 2,000 building is occupied by part source and consists of 7,255 square feet on the main floor, plus 128 square feet of mezzanine, for a total area of 7,383 square feet. The 1963 building is occupied by Birchwood Credit Solutions as an auto dealership. The building has a plan area of 20,731 square feet, plus mezzanine area of 2,420 square feet, for gross floor area of 23,151 square feet. The age variant for the dealership is 1974, and the assessor's leasable area is 22,677 square feet. If I could turn to page 5, for the part source. The net market rent, the assessor has applied a net market rent of $14.26 per square foot overall. We have no contention with that. For vacancy, the assessor has classified the part source as a retail warehouse, and therefore the applied vacancy allowance is 4%. This property does not qualify as a retail warehouse. It is only 7,383 square feet in size, and the wall height is only 17 feet. The part source floor should be classified as standard retail and receive a vacancy allowance of 6%. It should also be noted that the land area leased to this portion of the assessment is only 0.86 of an acre. We will accordingly apply 6% to our in our valuation. For the shortfall, again, we're saying it should be retail, and we're using $6.50 per square foot for the shortfall area, and this is the amount used in our valuation. Under the capitalization rate applied by the city is 6.15%, representing a compression of 0.25 basis points from the rate of 6.5 that was applied for the 2018 realty assessment for this property, and a compression of 0.165 from the overall cap rate of 7.75 set by the Board of Revision for the 2018 appeal. We're going to apply the 7.75, which is the same as we received for the 2018 Board of Revision appeal. So on page 7, this is for the part source. We're suggesting, I got 4% there for vacancy, that's wrong, but we're suggesting a $1,188,000 for the Birchwood portion, which is currently assessed at $1,582,000. For Birchwood Credit Solutions, we're accepting the assessor's rent of $11.55. For the vacancy, again, it's the same argument that I gave you on the Audi dealership. We suggest a vacancy allowance of 4% for the subject property, shortfall rate of $650, non-recoverable 7%. And for the 2018 capitalization rate, the city has used 7.8, and we're going to use the 7.75 that was used in the 2018 board order. So if you look at the page 9, this is our valuation for the car dealership, and we're coming in at $2,941,000 as opposed to the $3,190,000. So page 10 is the summary of everything, as it shows our total value of the two components is $4,129,000 rounded. I could ask the board to turn to page 14. This is the current assessed value that the assessor has applied. Page 16, this is the, oh, I didn't even know that the chairman was Mr. Merritt at this hearing. The 2018 border revision where we had the property reduced from $4,214,000 to $3,009,000, and that was based on an adjusted net operating income and an overall cap rate of 7.75. Page 18, 19, 20, 21 are all the income expense mailer. Now 22, this is the current parameters that the assessment department uses for the 2020 reassessment. If I could ask the board to turn to page 27, you'll notice here that underneath the vacancy for RWC retail warehouse is 4%, and for regular retail number 4, it's 6%. So that's where we got our 6% vacancy. We're classifying it as just standard retail space. And for on page 28, it shows that for retail, the shortfall rate is 650. So based on our accepting the assessor's rent in both cases, higher vacancy shortfall and a higher vacancy cap rate on the retail and just slightly lower on the car dealership, we're asking for a value of $4,129,000. And I think if you actually look at the bottom of page 3 of my report, you can see that this car dealership is getting lower rent and a much higher cap rate. Some of it may be because of age, but if you look at the actual land that it has very little area there for parking cars. So again, if you got a small land to building ratio, it does increase the risk for a car dealership. And that's my presentation.
All right, thank you. Questions of the applicant?
I just have one quick question, more of a curious in nature. You mentioned that the subject property only has a wall height of 17 feet.
Yes.
Therefore, you would argue that it's not
Not a retail
warehouse, but retail. Where would you draw a line?
Basically, it wouldn't be the wall height as much as the size. This isn't a big warehouse building. It's you go in the front of the building, you've got the counters, and in the back, it's just stacks of shelving where they keep the parts. And it's just a retail store. To me, it's no different than going into a Dollarama or something like that. It's just regular retail. To me, a warehouse means vacant.
Okay, that's all I have. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Hutchins?
No questions, thank you.
Mr. Whitebread?
No.
Summation, either party?
I don't have anything to summarize. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Becker?
No, I think it's good.
Let's take a 5-minute break.
Sure.
Okay, we'll call the meeting back to order, and we're going to go to 680 Pembina Highway. So, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We're looking at roll number 120976500. This is 680 Pembina Highway. This is just south of Grant. The 2020 value is $4,630,000. This again, we're looking at another auto dealership. This is a double check here. Yeah, so this is our. We have a premise built in 1950, also built in 2009 edition, and the effective year across the two is 1979. So the total effective year is 1979, and we have a gross floor area of 27,541 square feet with a leasable area of 27,541. You can see on page 2, this is the Fort Rouge Auto Center. You can see exactly where it is, the layout of it on the top of page 2. Page 3, a little aerial view. And I will point on page 1, the land plan area is 2.44. So again, we're on the low end for any kind of auto sales, and I am pointing that out on page 1. Page 4, they always comply with our request for information. Page 5, we have the workup for this property. Again, across the three areas that total all the building area, we have a blended rate of $12.90. So you can look at this as a blended rate of $12.90, and we're using our standard VCD parameters. We have an overall capitalization rate of 7.3% on this vehicle car dealership. Page 6, I'm using the exact same comparables to our retail warehouse, and I will point out all of the retail warehouse comparables I've used or we're using globally are all built after the year 2000. This is a much older dealership. Finding retail warehouses with a 1979 effective age is difficult, so you can see all my rents are at $18, while our subject property is bringing in a combined rent, a blended rent of $12.90. So that's showing up below of our average of $18 for newer retail warehouses, but again, a building with an older finish and built across 4 pieces, whereas like this building was built across kind of 4 sections, ranging from 1950 up until 2009. Yeah, that's what you're getting, that blended rate of $12.90 as opposed to a newer rental rate near that $18. But again, these are the comparables I have. And we went over everything before regarding same thing as the cap rate. Page 10 is the income and expense mailer, but it's fully owned and occupied, so you'll see there's just a no rent in place. And page 12 is the addenda going forward. So if you have any questions, please let me know as my presentation.
Thank you. Mr. Becker?
On page 5, you have, okay, the top building you have at 738, that's an old concept building, correct?
Yes.
And then the other 2 buildings you have, I guess it's to my benefit, I guess, that we heard the Birchwood one first, which was a much nicer building. That was at 11 something.
Yes.
And these ones are at 1470 and 1383.
Yes.
Is that just model?
Yeah, it's model, and mostly because like we have 4 portions built over 50 years, right? So we have an effective year across the whole building of 1979. So you're bringing the newer building down, but you're bringing the older buildings up, and it's giving a higher rent based on that than say something like we looked at the Birchwood.
That's all the questions I have. Well, you did mention it has a small landed building.
Yes, very small.
Okay, that's all the questions I have.
Thank you. Mr. Hutchins?
Thank you. So this is used as a used car sales?
Car sales,
In
yeah.
an auto body shop?
I'm assuming there's some auto body in the shop on there, but I can't confirm. I've never been in this property.
Okay. So on page 3, Mr. Becker, that big, I'll call it gray or blue, the building on the top side of the property line, is that the Quonset you're referring to?
The Quonset's at the bottom,
Bottom.
on page 3,
Okay. Right there.
right along the railway tracks there.
Oh, yeah, okay.
There's a Quonset and another old storage building there.
Right. Okay, so what is the building on top? Do you know what it's used for? That big long one there?
Like the big long one there, like
Yeah.
showroom garage, I'm
Oh.
assuming.
Yeah, I got photos in my brief.
Okay. All right.
I'll show you.
Okay, thank you, that's all my questions.
Mr. Wickert?
So in 2007, there was a $13,000 purchase of something.
Yeah,
I think your sales history. Could we assume that's land?
by 13,000, I highly doubt it. I'm not,
I mean,
maybe 2007, I don't know,
that
13,000 seems very low.
That little triangle where that.
Oh, like maybe an addition on there, maybe,
That's
yeah.
what I'm wondering,
I
because-
don't know the history of the sale.
You obviously have a newer building that's been added.
Yeah,
It says 4 buildings and 3 premises.
Yeah.
You said it's all the same business. Would 3 premises mean 3 different businesses?
it's just how we have it, the building built, so there's been, from my understanding, say it's piecework built in 3 portions, 3 premises just means we have those 3 portions as 3 premises. It could be 1 building, it could be 3 buildings, it could be 2.5 buildings, right? It's just, we're just saying it was put on, there's 3, it could in theory be 3 multi-tenant if it was a building with 3 premises. It could be 1 owner occupied with 3 premises with 3 different portions of the building built at different times. Like, there's lots of reasons it could be 3 premises, if that makes sense.
Okay, but you did say it's 1 business.
Yes, from my understanding,
Yeah.
all the Fort Rouge Auto.
Because I could probably make a case for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, you can see from the top where it's where they
Yeah.
were when the additions were put on, right?
This is an old Volvo dealership, my memory tells me. Not old, a few years ago. And obviously it's been sold since then. Any idea what these other two buildings are used for?
I believe some sort of storage, but
You don't know.
it's
You
a
haven't gone
vendor.
to, you haven't gone to the...
I've never been to the store.
No, okay. Okay, no further questions, thanks.
Thank you. The ratio of land and building for, would you call this a dealership or it's?
We have it as a car dealership. It
Yeah.
sells cars for
Yeah.
auto.
But they don't sell new cars, it's
No,
just
no. We
old?
just have
Okay,
vehicle car dealership under that vehicle service related. You know, it's just our. So yeah, it's not your standard new car dealer. I believe.
so the, it's not a fair question, but maybe you know it. To the north, I guess, that's to the north there, there's a bunch of cars parked there.
Yeah.
So do you know what that is? Is that a dealership too?
I believe it's our. Yeah, I believe it's a dealership.
It's
Okay.
the next.
It's our next property.
It's our next property.
Oh, the next, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
We'll get
Oh,
right
okay.
into it.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think it's a Volkswagen dealership.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Porsche, yeah.
Porsche,
Porsche.
Volkswagen, yeah, both of them.
Yeah.
Mr. Becker, I think it's time to turn your presentation to us.
Okay. If you turn to my page 2, you can see there's just two different angles of the property. The bottom picture, as you can see, that's their showroom. It's got very low ceiling height, it's not new, it's not shiny. To the left of it that's the next one, that's 660 Pembina, that's the Porsche Volkswagen dealership. On the top of 3, the property description, page 3. Subject property is best described as an automotive dealership and service center situated on 1.5 acres land, zone C3 on the east side of Pembina Highway, just south of Grant. The only access to the subject property is off Ebby Avenue and has a land to building ratio of 2.37 to 1. Subject property has been constructed in stages since 1950, with the most recent addition in 2009. 1950 is the Quonset building, is 4,971 square feet with 13-foot wall height. 1953, there was a 7,150 square foot building built. 1976, another addition for 6,489 square feet. And in 2009, there was a 8,931 square foot building added. The building does not have the wall height and appearance of most car dealerships. The buildings are older and the land area is small for a car dealership. I'd ask the board to turn to page 5. The assessor has applied an overall net market rent of $12.90 per square foot to the entire area of 27,541 square feet. This includes the original 1950 Quonset building of 4,971 square feet. We've looked at different service garages and car dealerships in Winnipeg, and we came up with an average rent of $9.56 and a median of $9. The comparisons most similar to the subject property are number 5, 7, 9, and 11. Number 5, 9, and 11 are the only comparable properties that sell used vehicles similar to the subject property. Based on the above comparable properties, we will use the following rents. For the original 1953 building, we're going to use $9. Sorry, that's not good. The 53 building, we use $9. The 1976 edition, we're using $12. The rear garage, which was built in 2009, we're using $12. And then for the 1950 Quonset, we're using $5. So our overall rent, based on 27,541 square feet, is $9.96 a square foot. For vacancy, the assessor has applied vacancy allowance of only 2%. Now, if this was a vehicle service garage, which it is more by 90% of it would be that, it would receive 4%, and we're using 4%. We're going to use the 6% shortfall, 7% for non-recoverable. Now, the cap rate applied by the city is 7.3, representing compression of 0.45 from the rate of 7.75 that was applied for the 2018 realty assessment for this property. We're suggesting that there was no compression, and especially for this property, a little question, we're going to use 7.75. It says there that we're using 7.5 at the top of page 7, but we're actually, in my valuation, I'm using the 7.75, so that's an error. So based on an overall market rent of $9.96, vacancy of 4%, and 7.75 cap rate, we're coming up to a value of $3,074,000 rounded. If I could ask the board to turn to page 10. This is the showroom portion. As you can see, it's very small and very low ceiling height. Page 11, this is part of the service and auto body portion. Then page 12 at the top, that's the newer 2009 edition. 12, that's the Quonset building at the bottom from 1950. 13, this is the side view of the 2009. And 14 at the top is the Quonset and the interior of the Quonset. I can ask to turn to page 17. This is the 2018 valuation where the assessor used a 7.75 capitalization rate. And page 19, this is the front page of the board order where the decision was reduced from $3,934,000 to $3,465,000. The decision is based on the assessor's evidence and an adjusted rent per square foot of $11. I think we appealed that to the municipal board, but so basically on our overall rent of just under $10, 4% vacancy and a 7.75 cap, we asked for a value of $3,074,000. I'm open for questions.
Thank you, sir. Questions of
I have
the
no new
applicant?
questions. No new questions.
Okay. Mr. Hutchins?
Just to confirm, looking on that board order in 2019, it was ordered to be revised to $3,465,000, and that there is a pending municipal board?
I'm pretty sure we appealed it because we were asking for a lower rent, but I didn't check.
Okay.
I didn't check it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And the cap rate for the decision for that reduction last round was?
It was 7.75. It was, the assessment department was using a 7.75 cap rate,
Okay.
so it was just carried forward the cap rate.
Okay.
It was just an adjustment to the rent, I think.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. That's all my questions.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread?
No questions, thanks.
Summation?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No summation, please.
Okay, we'll go on to the next door property, which is 660 Pembina Highway. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We're looking at roll number 12013402100. This is 660 Pembina Highway, directly beside our last property. We have a 2020 value of $4,955,000. We have two dealerships on this property, two separate dealership buildings. We have one built in 1971, the original, with an effective year of 1989, and then we have the newer built in 2013 with an effective year of 2013. The gross floor area across both buildings is 26,998 and a leasable area of 27,000 square feet. So if you look on page 2, you can see the two buildings. We have the Volkswagen building towards the bottom of my top picture, and we have the Porsche building at the corner of the lot, at the top of the lot. You can see more pictures on page 3. You get a better picture of the Porsche building and the actual layout they have of the cars, and then page 3 aerial view, you can see the room they have for parking. Taking both buildings into account, We have a 4.04 land to plan ratio, so this is twice as much land as the last property to building ratio. Page 4, they've always complied with our request for information. There's been no sales. So page 5, you can see our premise workup for this property. That one thing, so we have 3 premises on this one. The bottom 2 premises are the Porsche dealership, and then the top premise there, the C2 standard of 18,000 square feet, is the Volkswagen dealership. You can see the Volkswagen dealership, the first premise has an effective year of 1971, about getting a standard rate of $14.41. And then we have the storage mezz area, which is in that building, as a separate premise, and that's at $10.39. That's the 2004-2005 portion of it, or effective year, sorry. And then the C2 standard, 2,000 square feet, 2,862 square feet is part of the main floor for the Porsche dealership, and that's at $18.79 because of the 2013 effective year on it. So it's driving at higher rent. But the blended rate across all buildings and space is $14.07 a square foot. We're using our standard vehicle car dealership parameters again, going all the way down with a cap rate of 7.3% for this property. We have a capitalized value of $4,955,000. And again, page 6, again, retail warehouse comparables. I will not go over them again as I went through them. Page 7, capital is our full income workup. Going back to the mailer is on page 10 going forward. Again, we have a owner occupied with a land lease in place. So similar to our property 2 ago, but we have no actual details. I believe it is related parties. So that is the mailer going forward, page 12, 13, and just our addenda, page 14. Going forward, if you have any questions, I ask you what.
I thank you, sir. Mr. Becker.
No, I have no questions.
Mr. Hutchings.
Yes, thank you. I'm looking at page 2, the site map.
Yes.
Okay, so we've got the original Volkswagen dealership.
Yes.
And service garage in the rear, I guess.
Yes.
And then the one to the north, the top, but that's the new Porsche dealership?
Yes.
Okay. So in your workup value for your income valuation, page 5, which buildings are which? Sorry.
So the first one, the C2 standard, 18,765 square feet,
Right.
is Volkswagen.
Okay.
Is that Volkswagen portion?
Yes.
And then we have storage office res for the, or storage / mezz area for the Porsche dealership, 5,373 square feet. That's $10.39.
Yes.
And then we have 2,862 square feet of that Porsche dealership at $18.79.
So is that the showroom?
I'm assuming it's showroom and mezz space. So that's the showroom is the 2,862, and then the rest of the space, like the mezz space in there, and any storage is at 5,272 square feet.
Yeah. So the total area is only about
7,000.
8,200 square feet, I guess. Approximately.
Yeah, I could do it. And then Volkswagen's at 18,765.
And when was that dealership? That's the 2013 building?
The large one was built originally, I believe, in 1971.
Right.
And then the Porsche was built 2013.
But,
or
yeah, okay, 2013.
And maybe Mr. Becker can correct me if I am wrong on that, but that's what my notes are showing.
And the Volkswagen dealership had upgrades to it, so there was a major...
Yeah, so the effective year originally of 1971 has been boosted to 1989.
Okay. All right, so you're capping both buildings older, and you were all calling it 7.3%?
Yeah, it's been, the full income stream is being put across 7.3%.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, that's all my questions.
Thank you. Mr. Whitfred.
So I'm just a little bit confused, and maybe you can help me out with Jonathan. You say mailers have been received on page 4.
Yeah.
So I go to the mailer,
Yeah.
and it says unknown, tenant's responsibility, no data, no information.
Yeah.
Does that qualify as a completed mailer?
for completed, like,
Financial statements.
well, it would be this one, because car dealerships,
What page are you on?
I'm on page 10.
Maybe that's what I'm missing.
Yeah, like, I mean, the problem with car dealerships is they are 99% of the time owner occupied, right?
Yeah.
So it's most often book rents related party. So even if it said, the issue is, or I won't say the issue, but unknown tenant is responsible. There might be related parties, and I would prefer if this was filled out better saying it was a book rent, if that makes sense. But I've done over 2 dockets in a row of car dealerships, and some are filled out better than others, but there could be an argument made that this was not filled out perfectly, but they are putting out the information they have, if that makes sense. So they're showing, they're saying there's a tenant that's in charge of their expenses, so they don't have access to it, right? And then you go back to the next
Can I
page.
just stop you?
Yes.
Earlier in your presentation, you
Yes.
said owner occupied.
I'm assuming it's owner occupied, and it's a related party tenant. Where you're hoping they have, if they have the expenses, they would put them in there, but even sometimes it's a related party, they don't put the expenses, or they don't have access to the expenses. There's an argument to be made.
Okay. So let me just stop you and carry this through
Yeah.
then. If there's a tenant, the tenant must be paying rent to this owner.
Yes, some sort of rent could be being gathered. from
It should
the owner.
be.
Yes, it should be.
I mean, you've
Yeah.
assessed some modeling rents
Yeah.
in your
Yeah.
evaluation. So to say that they've complied, in my view, they really haven't complied, because they haven't given you anything.
Well, so they haven't given me nothing. They filled out their capital cost on page 11, and on page 12 they've put the tenants, and they put when the lease starts and end, and they put the rent paid in 2017. So they just because they didn't fill it out on the first page, they haven't filled out the income type. They haven't said if it's fully
No
owner occupied.
expenses.
But this is the book rent, from my understanding, that's in
And
place.
that's satisfactory.
When I go through this quickly, it was satisfactory because of it being. But at a second look, I mean, there's gray areas, right?
It's
It
a
could
pretty
be-
thick gray,
Well,
area,
it's-
but that's my opinion.
But when I look on page 12, I see a rent paid in 2017.
Yeah.
He just didn't put it on the front page. I mean, he filled out the tenant information from his tenant, right?
Yes.
He just didn't get the information from the tenant for the expenses, and he didn't check those boxes, which, again, because it's total leasable area for the land lease, it looks like that's in place, which is similar to our other property. But if this $715,000 was put on the first page, does that not, it seemed, okay,
Yeah, okay.
at a quick glance, yes.
Yeah.
Could I ask another one? Thank you. So is that page 12, is that the rent paid, gross rent paid for both
Yes.
dealerships?
I'm assuming it's some sort of book
I don't
rental in
know.
place.
Yeah,
Yeah, just like all the other dealerships that I've come across.
yeah.
It's most common, some sort of book rent in there, and then usually it would just be owner occupied checked off.
Yeah,
But-
so does Volkswagen own the land and the buildings, and they're charging somebody?
I'm assuming there's common ownership,
Oh,
and then they're renting the land to their related Volkswagen company, just like,
Okay.
it's like I have lots, I had a whole doc on Tuesday where it was very similar situation for everyone, right?
Yeah.
It's a related party, and it's, it's a book rent, and it's owner occupied.
Just to carry that through, when I look at the numbers, the 217,000, and then your NOI, the model has obviously imputed some rent from the owner. So
From
you
this
have a-
one?
Yeah, when I look at your NOI in total, 361,
Yeah.
you've got 217,000 tenant rent. There must be an imputed value of the owner's rent.
Well, yeah,
Somewhere
we're
in the
just,
calculations. Just so I understand how that's constructed.
this is purely model generated rents, just as before, based on
Yeah,
it.
yeah, no, I get that,
Right.
the 361. I'm looking at
Our
your
NOI,
net
yeah.
NOI, yeah.
Yes.
Which comes out of your total rent. Right?
Yes, absolutely.
So that would be comprised of what we know is $270,000 in tenant payments, right? According to your document.
Where are you getting that 217 from tenant payment?
Page 12.
I see 715.
Oh, what did I say?
It's 715,000
Yeah.
rent paid in 17.
Back me up, just a minute. Sorry, I don't know why I got 217. Okay, so in any event, it is comprised of that money plus what the owner paid, or do you think that's the rent for the total
This would
place?
be, what we're using is pure net rent, what would be, what we believe would be, this space would be rented out for. This book rent that the owner, that the related company is paying to the owner, like that's what their rent paid is 715,000. We're saying 380,000 would be paid, net rent. This is we'll say gross rent of 715,000, whatever you want to call it, is a book rent. We never use it because it's not net. So
you've used 715 as the total?
we've used $14.07 as our net rent, which is 380,000. Their reported gross rent across the whole property is 715,000, over double. We're not using it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Spacek, I note that this dealership received the same cap rate as the previous one.
Yes, all of the cap rates today have ranged from 7.15 to 7.3.
Would you classify this as a better building?
Superior.
Superior?
I would say it's superior.
So why wouldn't you use a lower cap rate?
I would use a higher cap rate on an inferior building, but because of the way, our model's looking at the effective year when it's built where it is size-wise, it's getting a similar cap, and our BCD caps aren't ranging much. So again, that's I agree with you that you can say this one's superior in looking at the building layout and size.
Yeah. So why wouldn't you use a lower cap rate?
I'm saying, in theory, if I had time, really did a full analysis of these, are you maybe rent or cap rise? There's things you can change for a superior building, but I'm not bringing in what the models and I'm presenting.
Yeah. But I look at the pictures.
Yeah.
And the pictures are worth all kinds of,
Yeah, if you're asking me to compare two separate buildings, and which one's superior, I'm trying to tell you one in my mind, as if I looked at it appraisal-wise, one looks superior. I don't know what else I can say.
So, did you look at permits at all?
I did not look at any permits on this property.
Mr. Becker, the floor is yours.
Okay, if I could ask the board to turn to page 4. The property was constructed in stages. The original building, 1971, had a total floor area of 18,765. That included 1,728 square feet of mezzanine. There's an addition added in 2004, which was 4,896 square feet, and it included 576 square feet of mezzanine area. In 2005, there was a small addition of 475 square feet, and in 2013, they added 2,862 square feet. The gross floor area is 26,998, the city's using leasable area 27,000 square feet, and the land to building ratio is 4.03 to 1, which is normally considered small for a dealership. If I could ask the board to turn to page 6. We're not disagreeing with, sort of disagreeing with the rent. The actual rent used by the assessor overall is $14.07. We're suggesting that based on that, it should be $14 for the main and $7 for the mezzanine. This isn't a fancy mezzanine like the ones at the Audi. This is just a normal mezzanine. So we're suggesting $14 on the plan area, $7 for the mezzanine areas, and we come in at an overall of $13.40 as opposed to $14.07. For vacancy, same argument as the other ones. Where the assessor's using 2, we're suggesting it should be 4. $6 for shortfall, 7% for non-recoverables. Now, the cap rate, and Mr. Mayor, I know you were mentioning should this one not have a lower cap rate, but in my mind, the other one was too low. And this one shouldn't be lower just because it's nicer. The other one should be that much higher. It's just a thought. Anyway, it was 7.75 for 2018 on this property, and we're suggesting that there should be no compression and we're using 7.75. So at the top, page 8 is my summary, based on our overall net rent, 4% vacancy, and I use 7.5 again. Well, I dropped it 25%, sorry. And I'm at $4,221,000. So if I can ask the board to turn to page 13, this is kind of the breakdown of the buildings. Like the first building that was built in 71, that's the one that has 17,000 square feet. That's got an 18-foot wall height. The addition in 2004 had 20-foot wall height. There was another addition in 05 with 20-foot wall height, and then the Porsche dealership with a 20-foot wall height. On page 14, this is the valuation from 2018, and you can see that the assessor used a rate of 7.75. So for this one, we're asking for 7.5 as opposed to Fort Rouge, the other one, where we were asking for 7.75. So I would ask the board, based on their evidence, to reduce the value to $4,221,000. And I'm open for questions.
Thank you. Questions?
I have no new questions, thank you.
Mr. Hutchins?
Can I have a minute, please? Richard's already here.
I have no questions.
I don't think I have any questions. Mr. Becker, you had mentioned about the previous
Valuation we have on
what page is that?
14.
14?
And there was the capitalization rate that was used for the 2018 valuation was 7.75, and I'm suggesting 7.5 for 2020.
And this is the city's number.
That's the city value for 18, yes.
And is the was that appealed?
I don't know.
Don't know.
I don't know.
Mr. Hutchins?
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Becker, I'm looking on page 6. So your blended rate is 1340, is that right?
Yes.
We agree on the square, no, we don't agree on the square footage. Not close,
Put
okay.
2 feet, 2 feet difference.
Can you explain that, please?
I think it's in business, right?
And the assessor's at 1407, I believe.
Yes.
And we've got the 4% vacancy as opposed to the assessor at 2, and difference in the cap rate, right?
Yeah.
All right. That's all my questions. Thank you.
Summation either party?
No, thank you.
For the record, you want to read the 634?
Sure.
Into?
Next and last property is roll number 12090586000, 634 Portage Avenue, 2020 value $1,272,000.
Mr. Becker, any questions?
No, we just asked for confirmation.
Okay. Town members, any questions?
What are we talking about? The old McNaught?
Yeah, not demoed. It's currently vacant land that has been sold recently, and I believe they're building apartments on it in the future.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So the assessment reflects land value only? or
Pure
is it-
land value turn to my page 4. We have 34,000 square feet on Portage at $36.47. That's how we get the total land value. And again, page 5 is just 3 comparables on Portage, right within range, average of $40.50.
Okay, and there was a sale, is that post-reference?
The sale is post-reference. It originally sold in 2015 for $1.5 million.
Oh, yeah, okay.
The old owner, the person who bought that was from the notes, bought it for speculation for resale.
Okay.
And then it's sold, I guess. I don't have the newest sale, but
No.
it's sold since then. And now it's
And
being,
then they undertook the demolition?
yeah, the demolition cost around $180,000 declared. And it was, I believe the person who originally bought it demolished it and wanted to sell his land. But
Thank you.
Okay, I think that concludes our hearing. So, Mr. Becker, thank you very much for your presentations and results very soon.